Clinton pointed out what was so dangerous about this. And I think it's important to take a look at this because I think it explains the cozy meeting that happened on Monday. When she was talking about the meeting, she said, you know, you have to be very careful with this. These meetings are very, very dangerous. She said, and of course it happened with General Petraeus. They weighed actually charging him for lying to the FBI because of his prevarications, trying to be evasive. They ultimately didn't do it. They gave him a hand slap, and of course they're not even going to do that to Hillary Clinton. But she said, many times the FBI will do investigations, and they might question someone on the actual issue before them and not bring any charges on that issue, but they may charge them for lying to the FBI, which in itself is a very, very serious crime. So this is very dangerous for me to go in and talk to them because, you know, she has a real problem telling the truth, doesn't she? But she was coached, folks. You have to understand, Hillary Clinton, who has not had a press conference in, let's see, what has it been now? Maybe 215 days or so since she's had a press conference. I know it was a couple of weeks ago. We talked about how she'd hit her 200th anniversary of not having a press conference where she actually had to field questions. She has prepared statements that she gives. This was a prepared statement. She had all week to prepare the statement because the Attorney General, who had seen everything, met with her husband, who is also under investigation and has a relationship with her that should have caused her to recuse it. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight on this July 3rd, 2016. I hope you're having a wonderful 4th of July weekend. But I hope it hasn't lulled you to sleep like the former Navy SEAL was lulled to sleep by the Tesla self-driving car. See, that's the real danger. And I hope we have time to talk about that issue today. I wanted to talk about it Friday, but with everything that was happening with the Hillary investigation, with the emails, I didn't have a chance to talk about that. I think it's a perfect metaphor. Here's a guy who is a former Navy SEAL, one of the most alert people you're going to find on the planet, who's been involved in all kinds of dangerous activities. What killed him? He was killed by the siren song of technology, lulling him into passivity, lulling him to sleep, and crashing him not against the rocks, but against a semi-trailer. Okay, this is what's happening to us as a society. The tragic death of this Navy SEAL is a metaphor for our society. Are we going to be lulled to our death by this siren song, the promises of security in exchange for our liberty, of prosperity in exchange for our liberty? We need to understand on this weekend as we celebrate our independence that's now coming up to 240 years. That's when we declared it, and it was a long fight to get it. The British declared their independence last week. It's going to be a long fight for them to get their independence. And we can begin in first week of November when we have our election to try to get it again, try to get it back. But you know what? It's eternal vigilance is the real price that we pay for this. And the minute you are lulled to sleep by these lies, by these promises, that is when liberty dies. That's when you will die, folks. So we have to stay awake. And that's why I'm so concerned how the population is being played by this criminal gang, the Clintons. This last week, the sequence of events, the fact they planned all this for the 4th of July weekend, and it's the Department of Justice. Look, the FBI is part of the Department of Justice. If you think, really, that everything is okay because, as The Hill says, the FBI director is now taking center stage in the Clinton email case, what a load of baloney, okay? They say he's now firmly in the driver's seat. Yeah, you know, like the Navy SEAL was firmly in the driver's seat. Okay, not controlling it though. They say Comey has repeatedly clashed with the White House since he took office nearly 3 years ago. This is The Hill. On issues ranging from the use of encryption technologies to the ability to vet Syrian refugees coming to the U.S. to the existence of the so-called Ferguson effect on policing efforts. Okay. And then there's the famous 2004 episode, which underscores what people hope is his credibility. We'll see. We'll see. His credibility is going to be defined not by what he did in 2004, but what James Comey does in 2016. As Donald Trump tweeted out, it's impossible for the FBI to not recommend criminal charges against Hillary Clinton. What she did was wrong. We all know that it was wrong. Anybody who is paying attention to this knows that it is wrong, unless they are firmly entrenched in a cult-like trance about the Clintons Only the most die-hard Clintonites can't see what's wrong here. I even heard people totally in the tank for Hillary at the end of the week saying, you know, this thing at the airport with Bill Clinton, that's really bad. I'm really uncomfortable with that. That had a lot of visuals. It's hard to visualize what's going on with the emails and that sort of thing, but boy, when you just have that visual right there, you describe that. People can picture that in their minds, what's going on with that. But, you know, back in 2004, he rushed to the Washington hospital to block George W. Bush's White House from renewing a warrantless wiretapping program, while then Attorney General John Ashcroft lay ill in the hospital. Now, great, okay? He's had fights about encryption technology and so forth and so on. But to understand, this is also the guy who wants a backdoor key into all the devices that we have. He wants a key to everything. That's not only a bad idea for investigators, it's not only a bad idea for us, it's not only a violation of the Constitution, but it also doesn't give me warm fuzzies when I think about FBI Director James Comey. Also, he was right when it came to the watch lists. Understand, watch lists could be an effective tool to investigate terrorism. Could be. But they want to use it as a penalty. It's already being used as a penalty with a no-fly zone. They want to use it as another penalty for gun control. You cannot do pre-crime penalties and still have a country and a rule of law. You cannot take away people's right to a speedy trial, to be publicly accused, to confront the witnesses against them, to even know what the charges are against them. That's what happens with a watch list. Now, if you want to put somebody on a list and say, we're investigating this person or whatever, but you cannot apply penalties to somebody that has not gone through that process of being charged, indicted, and then found guilty. Then you apply the penalties. They want to skip all of that stuff. They've already done it with the no-fly list. They've applied penalties for people not allowing them to travel. Now they want to apply it for gun control. Now, James Comey said, just from a pragmatic standpoint, he didn't have a problem with it necessarily from the fact that this was a pre-crime punishment. What he said was, wait, we're investigating these people. They're going to know that they're being investigated if we block them from buying guns. To which Loretta Lynch said, I don't care about investigating terrorists. I want gun control. That's essentially what she said. She said, nah, I don't care. We're going to shut that down. So this is a guy who works for Loretta Lynch. She is above him. So I don't really buy the fact that when she refuses to take herself out of the case, that she's not going to be shutting this down. And we'll talk about how that's going to happen, the different mechanisms, and why Hillary won't be indicted. I'll give you some point-by-point examples of how this is going to break down. But before we do, real quickly, I want to let you know that we have a 4th of July mega special, several of them. It's 4 of them, as a matter of fact, big specials. We really appreciate your support. We can't do this without you. And on this weekend, when we celebrate Liberty, we wanted to give you some key specials. 20% off of Survival Shield X2, that's our nascent iodine. 20 to 40% off InfoWars Select Storable Food. And 20% off both Alexa Pure water filters and Alexa Pure air filters. All the water filters, all the air filters from Alexa Pure, 20% off. 20% off Survival Shield X2 nascent iodine. And 20 to 40% off Select Storable Food. We want to help you prepare for your independence to make sure that you have what you need in case things get bad, and it also funds our operation. And we really appreciate your support, especially as we look to the coming Republican and Democrat conventions, which is going to be a very expensive thing for us as a independent news organization to fund, but we're going to be there. We're going to have a large crew at both events, and it's going to be a very significant year here covering what's happening. Why is she not going to be indicted? Well, let's talk about this, okay? There's peer pressure, career pressure, if you will, okay? These people, clearly Loretta Lynch doesn't want this. We understand that. She's a close friend of the Clintons. Her career minions are going to know this as well. They're also going to know that they may be very well working for Hillary in a year. So they're not going to have a lot of incentive to do anything about that. We also see that she is still leaving herself in control. She refuses to recuse herself from it, okay? Now, as I just pointed out, she didn't have any trouble shutting down FBI Director Comey when it came to the watch list stuff. And she said it's very important for her to remain in the loop as a supervisor. Again, to be able to put pressure on, and here's the key thing, to remain as a mole inside this investigation for the Clintons, to let them know what's happening, to give them intel on what the FBI knows, what the FBI is about to do in their criminal investigation. All of that information will continue to go to Loretta Lynch. That's why it was critical for her to meet with Bill so that Hillary could be briefed and be prepared so she didn't commit perjury when she had her questioning, her voluntary questioning, of course, as she likes to spin it, and as the Washington Post likes to spin it. They say here, they say this was the meeting on Monday. This is the way the Washington Post calls it, an impromptu meeting. It just happened, you know, just happened. It was impromptu. And then they say Lynch did not formally recuse herself, saying that would mean that I wouldn't even be briefed on what the findings were. So she seemed to promise, now this is the Washington Post, understand, she seemed to promise she would not veto whatever decision came from federal prosecutors. She seemed to do it. Okay. She won't publicly do it. She will covertly move against it, as I said, with pressure, and she will be a source of information. But again, if she is that closely connected to the Clintons that she just can't say no, and they got to meet for a half hour, why wouldn't that be a basis for her to recuse herself before she gets caught in this dirty deed? We had the New York Times, when George Bush was around, saying Attorney General Alberto Galanzas is impeachable, you know. And they give the basis for it. They say, well, it's not just for high crimes and misdemeanors, but it's for conduct, quote, grossly incompatible with the office held, subversive of that office, and of our constitutional system of government. Loretta Lynch should be impeached. We all know they're criminals. When are we going to do something about it? When are the people in Washington going to do something about it? Where can we find an honest man in D.C.? Maybe we can't. Stay with us. We'll be right back. There's more news about a massive shooting in Baghdad. 126 killed, including 25 children. We'll have details on that the other side of the hour. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight. We're going to get back to the impeachment of Loretta Lynch. And I think that's a very important... We've somehow have to get our integrity back with government. We have to start somewhere. And I understand they tried to do it with Eric Holder. And we're going to talk about that in the next segment, how that went down. You know, it was sold to us that Loretta Lynch was going to become the person who was going to restore trust in the Department of Justice. And how's that worked out for us? Not too well. We're going to review what the problems were with Eric Holder, what Republicans tried to do with that. But first, I want to cover some breaking news here. There is another shooting, 126 killed with a shooting bombing, including 25 children in a new attack in Baghdad. Of course, we had just a couple of days ago an attack in Bangladesh. Now we've got another one in Baghdad. 126 killed. They're claiming responsibility for this with ISIS. They say it was a suicide car bomb that killed 125 people. And the 120, well, it says 126 in the headline, 125 in the body. It will go up, I'm sure. Families had gathered in the popular area to break the Ramadan fast and to watch the Euro 2016 soccer tournament in a cafe when a suicide car bomb exploded, ripping through the multi-level building that also houses stores and a gym. At least 147 people were injured. So, happy Ramadan, the religion of peace. How about a fast with the on mass murders? Can we do that? You know, really, there's a lot of different sects in Islam, of course. Okay, we got the Sunnis, we got the Shias, we got the Wahhabis, who are closely aligned with the CIA. The Wahhabists are the ones that are in control of Saudi Arabia, responsible for so many brutal beheadings and mutilations as part of their Sharia law. But then, of course, there's also another denomination. You know, just as we have Christian denominations, we've got all these different flavors of Baptists. There's probably about 25 different denominations of Baptists. We've got different denominations of Islamic terrorists, especially those who are affiliated with the CIA. You know, that just like you've got the Baptist subsect of Christianity, you've got the CIA subsect of Islam. You got the Wahhabist, and then you've also got that famous sect called ISIS that we helped to create, that we arm, that we cover for, that we don't attack. And they're the ones who are claiming responsibility for this. And now this is going to be sold to us as the need to further give up our liberty so that they can protect us. This is going to be used to push the war on terror to another degree. I'm very sad for the people that were killed there, but we know how this is going to break out. Just like the Clintons have their MO of big lies, big corruption, and breaking it on holiday weekends. The CIA has their MO because it works, you know. Fool me once, shame on you, but, you know,